Feeling overwhelmed this holiday season? I want you to give yourself the gift of peace with Sheila Tillich. Sheila's been on the podcast. You've heard her talk. People have just fallen in love with her. She's Western New York's premier energy healing practitioner and recovery metaphysician. And right now, you can experience her unique 3-in-1 healing blend, Reiki, chakra balancing, and quantum DNA healing, designed to ease anxiety, release stuck emotions, and open new opportunities in your life. Doesn't that sound fantastic? What a way to close out the year, right? For a limited time, book a 1-hour session and get 50% off for a friend. Share the healing journey. Do it in person or online. Make this season brighter with less stress and more connection. Come on, you deserve this, and Sheila can help you get there. Visit SheilaTillich.com and make your holiday season more peaceful today. Iron Smoke Distillery in Fairport, New York. It's the biggest bar night of the year. And tonight they have a fantastic band playing over at Iron Smoke Junkyard Field Trip, coming back to the stage that whiskey built. Oh, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I got to tell you something. You get a nice cocktail in your hand. You get a little relaxed. Take a little you time before the holiday rush comes in. Woo, and all the family. And then, if you've had enough family on Thursday, come back to Iron Smoke, blow off a little steam with the Acoustic Sunset Sessions and my friends, the Drinking Class Heroes. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. That begins at 5 o'clock. At 8:30, the Elicitron full band returns to Iron Smoke. And it's a whole weekend. You got Jackson Cavalier on Saturday, the M80s Friendsgiving on Saturday the 30th. It's going to be a ton of fun. Bring your friends, bring your family, the ones you're not sick of, and be grateful that they're with you, and be grateful for Iron Smoke Distillery in Fairport, New York, baby. Well, hello. Coming up in this episode, another Billightenment. David Hanzel, psychic medium, had a near-death experience, as he calls it, an NDE. What do we need to know to navigate our lives better? You're going to find out in this episode with David Hanzel. Another installment of Billightenment coming up right after this. I'm excited to tell you that Woodcliff Hotel and Spa has an opportunity for you to win gift cards from Billified this holiday season. And we'll give you more details on that. But, Black Friday's coming up, and I don't want you to miss out on this because you're talking about world-class amenities at Woodcliff Hotel and Spa. World-class amenities. And they have a Black Friday promo going on, but you have to go in to 199 Woodcliff Drive in Fairport, okay? From the 29th through December 2nd. So that really gives you till about Monday to do this. You get a $50 gift voucher for every $250 gift card purchased. But think about that. You get an overnight weekend, and there's tons of packages. Go and look at woodcliffhotelspa.com at the great packages. They have a sip, shop, and stay girlfriend getaway package. Wouldn't that be a nice thing to book for your significant other, fellas, and a couple of her friends, a girl that you planned? How about that? Talk about points, my friends. But go to woodcliffhotelspa.com, check out all of them, and from the 29th, Black Friday, through Monday, December 2nd, you can receive a $50 gift voucher for every $250 gift card purchased. Any voucher is valid from the time of purchase until April 30th, 2024. You can find out more at woodcliffhotelspa.com and tell them Billified told you to go and relax.
Wandering through the open space, seeking light in every place. We find the path without a trace, our hearts guided by gentle grace. In the whispers of the breeze, we find a mind that's set at ease, breaking chains that hold us tight, moving towards the endless light. Billightenment is the way to live better day by day. Free
I was
feel the joy.
a little nervous about starting Billightenment because, I don't know, as I've gotten deeper and deeper into, I'll say, life, I just see things. And I'm telling you, man, when that eclipse happened, and we had a perfect view where we are, despite the clouds. It was just one of these things where we don't, everything we need is here. And what are we sweating and what are we panicking about and what are we getting ourselves all worked up over what sometimes? And I really think that you never get it wrong, but you never get it done. And as energy, you are eternal. And maybe some of the things that we were taught, we weren't taught out of maliciousness. We were just taught out of misinformation. Sometimes that's exactly how I feel. And I've been looking to, for a bunch of different people to do in this series of podcasts, kind of a Billified offshoot, less dick jokes. But I found this gentleman named David Hanzel, and David has had a near-death experience, and he's a psychic medium, and we'll talk to him all about that stuff. But the near-death experience, I'm anxious to see if some of the things that I've really come to believe is true. And I haven't ever spoken with David, but I'm very happy that he's here. David, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Doing good.
Why don't we start with the psychic medium? I have a question about this. I don't know that anybody can exactly predict the future, but I do believe that people can read your vibration. And if you stay on that wavelength, if you stay on that vibration, then these things will happen. Because I think, because it's always my favorite thing when somebody says, I went to a psychic and they told me this and it didn't happen, man. And okay, maybe there's a charlatan out there. I don't know. I would never question somebody's ability. If they believe it, I believe that they believe it. But I think that, would that be a more accurate way to think of psychic mediums?
Yeah. It's funny that you brought up that up because I'm the most skeptical psychic medium that ever existed. I think I am. I've had the ability since I was a child. I mean, I grew up seeing ghosts and having ghosts in our house that moved from house to house for a while, and they weren't scary. It was
same ghosts
scary.
that just stuck with you. Same ghosts.
Yeah, they stayed from about 5 years old. They stayed till I was about 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
not scary, just like they were there. You knew they were there. I wasn't seeing them. I didn't see the first one. Like literally there it is in front of my face until it was right before my 17th birthday. And I had mentioned to them, the other side is like, I didn't like that. And just because it was unnerving for a moment. Yeah. Plus it was a child too. So that would really freak me out. But they showed me the child to let me know that children everybody's fine. No matter what happens when you go here, it doesn't matter what age you are. You're fine. You go back to you. But they stayed with me, and I didn't like it. I went through a large part of my life just ignoring it, but I always knew things. I was the guy that people always ask questions in the bar. I could be drinking, I could be on whatever, and they'd always, Dave, what do you see in this? And I'd be like, there it is. It's just there. It was automatic for me. Everybody has the same exact ability I do. Yes. So if anybody's ever thinking that any medium or any psychic that tells you they're better than everybody else because they can see something, that's simply untrue. You have a calling and you go for it. We can all play the piano. Some people just come in and they play the piano a little better, a little faster.
Right.
The same with some mediums and psychics. But anybody can learn how to play the piano. Whether you want to be a concert pianist or you just want to play at a bar, that's up to you. It's equally just as satisfying, but everybody does have this ability. I just cultivated it a little bit more and more after my NDE because I didn't really want anything to do with it until my NDE. But yeah, some mediums, there's a lot out there that they read from a place of fear, or that's normally I always tell people, if you have a psychic that is trying to give you fear-based things all the time, telling you curse, telling you all that stuff, just get your money back and hang up the phone or whatever, because that's simply not true. You can't be cursed unless you agree with the curse. You can't be possessed unless you agree with the possession, So I find that, I know a lot of paranormal people hate me for that, but it's just how I see it. I've never had a bad experience in my entire life, ever. And I'm going to be 60 years old, and I've been around ghosts all my life. I've had some unsettling things happen, but nothing was ever going to hurt me. And there is no curse that ever came to me. And plus I lived through an NDE. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
how
want
good
to
is it?
get to the NDE because I think that's the near-death experience thing, because I think that's very telling and maybe how it shaped your life. But let's take a step back. You said you've had this ability all your life, but you sort of didn't want it. So
Exactly.
sometimes when we want to escape things, I come from a very Irish family, and man, do I like to drink.
I am half German and I am half Irish, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, and probably
Yes.
to almost quiet or try to make some sense or some kind of an escape. We put all these rules on people. This is where I always feel like with addictions and things, we put all these rules on people and tell them not to act this way. So they're looking for something to make them not act this way, and they choose the things that are easily available, alcohol, and then we yell at them for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we have. I hope you don't mind if I use a little bit of salty language here, but I think
I talk like a sailor outside of my readings.
Great,
Yeah.
because I think we have fucked up people so badly with religion and beliefs and different things, and I would say that you never get it wrong. You just, like I said in the beginning, you just never get it done. So. Always this guilt that we carry around, this self-imposed stuff, this hatred, this idea that we're going to be judged I'd like to think is wrong. It's
100 absolutely correctly wrong.
Yes,
it's very wrong. It's very wrong. Yeah.
Right. And a very simple philosophical thing, only going back to where you talked about you've never had a bad experience with is there such a thing as evil? And we can look around the world and see it, but would we say a privation of good?
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna say. When like a lot of people, most people understand me, and I do another podcast too, and a friend of mine who's more involved in, like, she knows more of the evil part of it, and she's not in that part, but she knows about it.
Okay.
I've had bad things happen to me, but not things like they show on TV. It's not to that scope what they're doing. I mean, I've had shadow people. I am a big shadow people seer. I see more shadow people a day than I don't know how many. And some don't feel so good, some do, but they don't bother me. They never have. And I don't know why that is. My guides or my ghosts and my people always tell me it's because you have no belief in it, so they can't affect you. You just don't have that belief for it. And so I tell people evil and negative energy is a very real thing. The devil is not. The devil is it's an archetype of human consciousness, the bad part of us, and we made it into some being. And like you said about religion, it's really sad because I can't sit here and say religion is the worst thing in the world. I really can't.
No.
Because for some people, it's beautiful for them.
Yes.
So who am I to deny them of that experience? But as far as I knew as a child, there was no such thing as hell. I came in knowing a lot of stuff when I was a child. And I went through my whole life telling people there was no such thing. Where are you guys getting this from? They're like, prove it. And I'm like, well, I can't, but it's a knowing. I know it. And then when I had my NDE, that's when they said, yes, there is really literally no such place as hell in the biblical sense.
Okay. So, let's jump into the NDE because we keep referencing it, or it seems a turning point for you.
Oh, yes. My NDE, my death saved my life. It really did.
Okay. So you got sick with pneumonia.
And sepsis, yeah.
And sepsis. And pneumonia is tough. I've battled a couple of rounds of that myself, especially as a child and even as an adult. And it took me almost 3 weeks to get over.
I was misdiagnosed.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I don't hate that doctor. I had salty feelings for a while for him, but I thought, well, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have gone through the experience that I went through, and I wouldn't be in the place I am today. So I'm like, okay, it's cool. It happened the way it happened. And he sent me back home after I was sick. I wasn't even walking anymore. My parents took me to this doctor. Like, he's not walking, he's not eating, he's not anything. And I was 240 pounds, and still I was really overweight. And I was they put me in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk, couldn't do nothing. He said, oh, it's from not eating because he's got a cough or something. And they just gave me cough medicine and nausea medicine. And I went back home. And it wasn't until 2 weeks later that it all hit. My parents even said, well, the doctor said you're fine. They left me in the house alone. And my little brother had showed up. And the one morning I had walked out, and my last words were, I walked in the room and my little brother came out and he said, David, you look like shit. What's wrong? And I just looked at him and said, well, I'm going to die now. And I passed out, and that was it. And then I don't remember the real world until almost.
You passed out at home?
I passed out at home. Yeah.
Okay.
The ambulance came and got me. I don't remember the ambulance ride. I don't remember. I was still alive in the first hospital. That's where they called my parents up where they were, and they said, he has sepsis. It's been running through him for a while. It's not like new, like they didn't just find it or whatever. This is what I'm told. So they told my parents, if he stays here, he's going to die tonight. We needed to take him to another hospital. So they took me to another hospital. I kind of woke up for a moment. I remembered for a quick moment waking up in that in the second hospital. I didn't know I was at the first one, but I just opened my eyes, and there was just a bunch of people in front of me just doing notes and all this stuff. And then I just closed my eyes again. And then I remember at that point, it was almost like sleeping. And then there was this, I started, like I was dreaming, I saw the doctors over me, and they're telling me to hang in there. And they were telling me that I was in surgery, although my eyes were closed and I was on the bed. But I was looking at them in their face, and I watched them do part of the surgery. I just remembered looking over to my left, and I'm like, what are they doing? They broke all my ribs and they had to get into my left lung was 70% covered in infection. Huh. So they had to go in, and they put all these tubes and this fan in there or whatever. And then the last thing I remember is the doctor said he knelt down, and he just said he said it to the nurse, he's not going to be able to speak for 2 weeks or something like that. I guess that was the time they started inserting the tubes down my throat.
Yeah.
And at that point, something must have happened, I guess, because they told me afterwards, after the whole thing, they said, yeah, in surgery, you stopped. Everything stopped for a moment, and then they got you back fairly quickly. And I'm like, oh, that's the moment, I bet, because I remember laying there, and I heard this, it was like a click. It was just, I went from there to this beautiful space. It was just absolutely beautiful. And that's where I knew, I'm like, aha, I died. I knew it right there.
Is death just, no resistance? All resistance is gone?
That's a really good way to put it. That's a phenomenal way to put it. It is. You just accept it. I think, and even like dead people I talk to or spirits that I talk to, it's the same thing. It's just like, you get to a certain point, you're like, oh, good, I'm leaving, and you're like happy, and you don't know why. You're like, this is good.
You're going back to your true self?
Well, I wasn't back to my complete true self because, of course, I didn't stay.
Yes.
So I went, I guess you could say, when I showed up, I didn't feel as if I had a body. I didn't care. I never looked down. Everything was in front of me.
But you were aware.
I was very aware. And then I had a being on my left and two on my right. And we were having the conversations within the head. We weren't watching each other's mouths or like we were standing here. It was just, they were there, and I knew them. I knew them really well, and I could not place the name, but I knew them. And the one on the left, I remember turning, and I know it was a her. And I said, where am I from? That was my question. Where am I from? Because I always felt as a person, here growing up, nobody liked me in school. I had a terrible childhood. No big deal. Everybody has, but it's one of those, I never felt like I was in place. I felt like I'm not a human. I don't fit here. What is this? And they pointed, and when they pointed, I saw the light, the light that everybody sees. It appeared in front of me, and they showed me almost like I was going around it and seeing it from an angle, and it looked like a cone that went up like this, and it's on a 45-degree angle, and you see thousands of these beings going through there, and they just said there, and they gave me some other stuff which I kind of kept to myself, but I understood that. And then they took me to another place where I had it was just like a waiting area, and it was beautiful. And it was funny because when I described the waiting area to people, I had done an interview for a paper out of England, and I had said something because in this waiting area, it was a beautiful, brightly white lit room. It was all white, and it was like, it didn't hurt your eyes. It was just beautiful. It was perfect. You're just sitting in there. But there were all these like, they looked like glass bottles, but they weren't bottles, but they were different colors all over the wall. Like that wall was all these different colors. And it kind of reminds me of, did you ever go to a big nightclub at night and you see a bar?
Yeah.
And like if they have all the booze behind the bar and it's lit up real pretty.
Yes.
It was like that, but more like, holy cow, this is the best setup I've ever saw in a bar in my life.
So you got to go to a
It wasn't
pub?
a bar at all. Huh?
You got to go to a pub.
Well, yeah, that's what they said. It wasn't a pub whatsoever. It's just that they were stacked up like that, like you'd see in a bar. That's what they wrote. Man dies in America and goes to pub in heaven. And I was like, no, dude, that's not what happened. Although I'm going to tell you this, I was in a place that was comfortable for me. So it probably maybe looked like that because I just came from a life of total boozing and drinking. And I was a comedian and I was doing shows and I was doing all this other stuff. And
you did stand up?
I did stand up for years and years. I studied at Second City in Chicago. I taught improv classes. I worked for the Charlotte Comedy Theater. I was a musician. I traveled all over. I worked with one of the guys who wrote one of the songs for Wyatt Earp, put a band together, and I was with him for a while. I come from a musical family. But those things would always get pulled away from me. I'd get really far and do really well, and then it seemed like they got pulled away from me.
Why? Why do you think that is?
For this, maybe because they weren't, because it maybe just wasn't what was my main purpose. You know, this is what I chose. I could have went back to it, but it just wasn't going to. But when I was in that room, as a waiting room, that was the absolute coolest thing that I ever. It's like whatever you need to see is what you're going to see. And so if like, when you pass over, say like everybody's like, oh, I want to see my mom and dad really bad. You know, that's who's going to be there. You know, most likely.
When you
your
say,
guide's going to be there.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you say beings and things, do they have a physical form?
Okay, let me explain this.
Yeah.
I know the beings. I had 3 beings that had been with me all my life that I always knew there was something following me around, and I didn't know their names, but they were the ones helping me feed the information. Those are the beings that were there. And then one, I guess the one on my left was in human reference, in human terms, that was Archangel Ariel. She had been with me my entire life. I just didn't know it. I knew she was there. I could feel her, but I didn't know who she was. So that's who people would consider to be Archangel Ariel or an angel, if you want to put it that way. Okay. The other 2 were guides that had been with me. Both guides showed me what they really looked like shortly after I came out of the coma. So they're still with me. They're always with me. And they're very cool. Everybody's got them.
Yes.
For the work I do, I just know them really well.
Yeah.
And they're they can look however they want. If you're asking about what you look like on the other side, you can literally look like whatever you want to. I mean, you can keep this facade for a while, but most people don't. Yeah. But here's a weird thing. They don't have to look like that for you to recognize them.
Okay. Yeah. All right. See, that's interesting. Yeah, I find everything that you're saying to sort of be my belief, and I would go back to religion, and I don't know what religion you may have practiced at some point in your life, or parents practiced. You know what I mean?
Catholic on my dad's side, Southern Baptist on my mom's side. In the Southern Baptist one, we got a choice. I had cool parents. When we were 14, we got to decide where we wanted to go. I said none of them. And my parents just asked why. And I said, the one when I went to it was an evangelist church here in the South. I'm sorry if anybody's evangelist. I'm not picking on you, but I'm just telling you as like a very young child, when they took me to Sunday school there, I always remembered I sat in this room with the other kids and I never felt more uncomfortable in my life. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, these people think I'm some psychic or they know it and I'm evil. And that's why I'm not feeling good here, because that's what people put on me, which was stupid because I probably know God better than most people. I know God is more. That's who I talk to all the time. I talk to God all day long, but I just don't call it God. But they were talking about hell and everything. And when we got out, my mom and my grandfather, who was the guy who passed around that hat in their big, beautiful church with everybody dressed up, and my mom said, how was Sunday school? And I said, Mommy, I said, they tried to tell us that we're going to die and burn someplace. And my mom just was like, shh, like that. And I said, no, Mommy, I said, that's the truth. They're lying to us. They're lying to them. Why are they lying to them? And that was it. They never took me back to that church because everybody heard me. They're like, what's that little boy talking about? But I always knew that. And my dad was Catholic. And although Catholic was beautiful, I loved the churches. I felt like, wow, this is just mysterious and all that. But there was a sense of dread that I feel in Catholic churches. Not saying Catholic is bad.
No, I understand what you're saying. I guess my questions, you're saying so many things. I have so much I want to ask.
Oh, ask. I'll shut up and you ask.
No, that's okay. I'm going back to sort of, I was going to say, where we learn about Jesus. I too, my parents were Catholic up until I was age 7. And I think not talked about really ever with me, but I think my dad started out in the seminary and then left. Okay, so he was on his way, right? And at 7, my dad has a doctorate in philosophy, and he thought that they weren't getting enough out of the Catholic Church. So we went to what was more of a Protestant-based but evangelical church in the Northeast. I grew up in the Northeast. And I was really kind of into church, but there was always this thing with me where I kind of was like, I don't know that this is really the way. And as I got older, and I have had these discussions with my father, who always thinks I'm way off base with this, but I feel like they misinterpreted what Jesus said. I feel like Jesus came down here to say, be like me. You are like me. Be like me. But
you're supposed to be that we're all Christ. So we are God.
Yes. And that all these things, all these like power, I don't want to say powers because that makes it sound weird, but all these things, you have the ability. That's why I really loved what you said in the beginning. Everybody has these abilities. It's just whether you choose to tap in. I feel like the real work in life is controlling your emotions and going for the better feeling thought. And I say that often. And a listener to the podcast made me a coaster with all the sayings I say on there, like what other people's opinion of you is none of your business. And, only and the barrier to entry. But basically, I always say, go forth and tell no one. I remember when Jesus healed people, he would say that. And I always felt like that was misinterpreted, only because when you tell people, and I can't wait to ask this question with your near-death experience, when you tell people, not that they're being evil, like if you have an idea to do something, they're going from their perspective, probably out of love. Don't do that. Man, I try that, it's going to fail. And then you get the doubt in your head, and so you fail. And I feel like that's what Jesus was saying when he would heal somebody. A leper, he puts his ear back on, and you go back, back to your crew, and Marv looks at you and goes, yeah, I give it 2 weeks, that ear's going to fall off. And the doubt comes back in. Go forth and tell no one. And I don't know if I know I'm all over the place.
You are absolutely on. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I agree with you. Listen, for anybody who's wondering this is something just so they know. Jesus, all the deities from all religions, they all came down here for a purpose to kind of say, hey, dudes, we're just giving you some little cliff notes. This is what you can do. Yes. This is how this stuff can go if you let it. And then they left it up to us. We have free will. We all do. They could only come down here and explain something, whether you took it or not, you did. Unfortunately, humanity took religion the totally wrong way. Because I know who Jesus is, and I am one. I don't sit and pray to Jesus every day. He's not the deity that I talk to a lot. Right. I've talked to Mary quite a bit. I love Mary. And very cool. I mean, these people, it all depends on how you look at it. Like when I see Jesus, or when I used to do meditations and Jesus would come around me, he wasn't some white dude in a robe. I mean, it wasn't.
What?
Yeah, it was. I know. Isn't that funny? When he'd show himself whatever way I needed to see him. And
Yes.
for me, he looks like a hippie. And he's very cool.
He
And
looks
I
like
couldn't even
who?
tell you what he's very cool. And I couldn't even tell you what nationality he was.
Oh.
And the hardest thing I remember, probably the one thing that I've taken away that I had to learn through that deity after my NDE, which is extremely difficult to do, you guys, but it can be done. I just can't hate anyone, no matter what they've done, no matter what they did, because I always look at everybody else as if when I look at somebody, I always say to myself, I'm looking at me, I'm looking at God, I'm looking at everything else. So no matter how bad that person is on the outside, I know inside there is like just total love. And they're experiencing something or doing something. That's why I tell people there is no soul left behind. No matter what terrible things, some souls literally come here to do bad things in order to give us that contrast so we can have this experience. Outside of this world, like I tell people, like demons and monsters and ghosts and all that, yeah, within this world, you can have that. You can experience something to that nature and label it whatever you want to. But outside of here, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't. The ego's gone. Everything's gone. Once it's all chopped away, it's different. But that's what I got out of like the teachings of Jesus and all them, is that you literally do just have to love someone. Now you don't have to. The other one they used to always tell me this all the time, and I'm not a religious guy, but they used to always tell me, don't cast pearls before swine. And I'm like, wait, what are you trying to talk about? They're like, if they're not listening and they don't want anything to do with this, then don't talk to them. And then they gave me a rule that I've gone by for the last 10 years almost, is not without being asked, which means I don't run up to people on the street and go, I got your dead grandma here. That's not going to work. I have to be asked the question, even for a psychic reading. I'll make a judgment about somebody because of the fact that I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm really quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I tell people too, when you look out there too, the world is a mirror of you. It's in your heart. Jesus said that 1 billion times to people, and people just did not catch on. It's like whatever you feel and hear is what you're going to project out there. So if you always say, oh, this world is a terrible world and there's cruelty and all this stuff going on and on and on, it's like, well, that's because there's something in you that's
turn
going
off
on.
CNN.
Yeah, that's basically, it's like turn off all those stupid things. I mean,
Yes.
but we just learned, and it was supposed to, we just learned through something we went through the United States, that people literally fall for anything on all sides. It's just crazy. And I'm sitting here in the meantime going, I'm like, I know things are changing constantly, because change is a constant. It always happens. Nothing never stays the same.
Right.
Everything changes constantly.
So with the near-death experience, and when you were a child and knew, like you were saying, there was no hell, and so basically got kicked out of church, or at least that's what it sounds like. I think, do we choose to have a human experience? Is there a sort of a council and we choose to have this, and you kind of pick your family and go? And I think that a lot of times people go, well, I wouldn't have picked these crazy people. But you know what I'm saying? Like, is it that free?
It's a very difficult question to ask, just because some people will take this wrong, but I'm going to answer it because people need to know. Yes, we do choose to do this. This is a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice to come back here. There is no reincarnation wheel where you're thrown back here. If you don't turn away from the light so you don't get caught in the reincarnation wheel. That's, for me, that's just all bull. You do what you want to do.
Right.
Most people, I find even myself and what they showed me on the other side, a lot of people here who go, I will never come back to this place. I will not. They're the first ones back over. They're going, I want to go back. That was cool. Because if you can realize this, when your physical body dies, when your time is over here, however you decided to go, you go back to you again.
Yes.
Everything is undone. If you lost your arms because something blew up or an alligator ate your leg, you got all those things back after here. You're just back to you again. I can tell you, this is the dream. Over there is real. that was real. I can't recreate that feeling if I tried right now, and I have tried. And it's like, oh, it's not there because I'm here right now. But it's real. This is real, but that's really real.
Okay, so there's a lot of people who will tell you like everything, and when you think about it, you and I are having a conversation, but how many things are happening in the world right now, right? So there are those who are quantum physicists, maybe metaphysicists to a certain, that'll tell you everything is happened all at once.
It does.
It happens all at once, and that sometimes even the people who have passed on, they're just on a different frequency.
That's all it is.
Like you can't watch the same channel. So they're still over there. They're just not on your frequency. Is that fair? And it sounds simplistic.
They're in control of the TV, of the remote control, I should say. So it's true. Everything is. All of the past lives are happening now. They're not happening in the past. Your future lives aren't happening in the future. This is all. It's the same moment. If you look at it this way, the universe is mental. And if you can understand that, we're literally God's thought right now. God's one thought, and we are all in it and doing it and everything. And we are God. So we're all those things. So we're just going on for eternity, just living and loving and doing all kinds of stuff. I know it doesn't seem like that now, but trust me. Now, when you go over there, if you are in spirit and not in any physical thing, I guess I could look at it this way. They like have the remote control so they can watch the channels.
Yes.
And they can focus in on each channel,
right,
with all the channels still being there at the same time. It's just like watching TV.
Yeah.
If you're watching TV, there's 50,000 things on, but you put on one, you tune to that vibration, and that's where you are. Yeah.
Right. So let me ask this, and I am bouncing all over. You mentioned shadow people.
Yes.
Now, I have talked to people that have said all of us, and I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, and I am very, very curious as to your called opinion on this, that all of us have attachments, that some people, when their time is up, either it happened so fast or they were so drugged up when they passed on that they don't know they're dead. And so
this is from what I know.
Okay.
Those aren't shadow people, though. Shadow people are these energy beings that either they might be people who left, like they're hanging out in the astral realm right now, because there is an astral realm before this. We visited all the time. People do it all the time, even though they don't know it. They do it when they sleep. They're always going over there. They're seeing their loved ones. They're talking to guides. They're doing this. They're doing that, but they just don't remember. When you do remember, it'll freak you out, though, because you'll be like, holy cow, that was real. Yeah. So it's, and to throw this in the mix with shadow people too. Shadow people, like I said, we're putting that energy out there. Usually it's for our own good. It's for something that we need. So like I had shadow people that, when I was drinking, that's where they would be around. And they weren't like illusions. I mean, because I've seen them when I wasn't drinking. I would see them when I'm not drinking. But when I was drinking, they would literally be there. And they seemed to, people would say they were evil, but I'm like, not really, because they didn't like the fact I was drinking. So They would always want me not to. But shadow people, yeah, some people do forget. Nobody's stuck. But yeah, you can, if you are afraid of hell, you've got this big fear, you might not go over thinking that you're going to burn in hell for some reason, because you still keep your emotions right away when you leave here. Until you go through that light or go through that transition, this personality. So yeah, if they have fear or they're lost, or like you said, it happened. I've talked to people, it happened so fast that they walked around for a while and then started wondering, why aren't people interacting with me? And it's like, dude, because you're dead. You can go now. You can go.
Yeah.
And that's what rescue mediums usually do. People ask about a rescue medium. I haven't had any people who told me they were stuck here. I did have an older lady who I went on an investigation, and when I walked into the room, she had all these dolls people would leave for her. And I walked in there and they were talking about how evil she was. And I walked in there and I sat in there for a while, a good half hour, just sat there. And I was like, where are they getting this evil crap from? She wasn't even, she's in two places. She said she's in heaven, but she told me she loves to visit this place because people come to see her and leave her the dolls. So she loved it. And she would play the part of a ghost for them. Okay. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you can
it's
do that.
almost like, so it's entertaining for them.
It is.
Yeah, it's
Why not?
entertaining for them.
It's not. People think that this is this big weird thing, and it's not. It's really quite natural, and it's where you come from. It is entertaining, joy and laughter. The other
Yes.
side thinks it's funny.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I was told that some of those people, in order to keep living, need human energy, so they attach themselves to you. And sometimes you can actually ask them to go, and
Yes.
it would be there. But let's take it one step further. There are exorcisms. Is that something that? What's your opinion? I
have zero belief in exorcisms.
Okay.
Zero. What? But that doesn't mean that people aren't experiencing something. It's just like when you say the energies. Yeah, there's a theory, and I kind of do believe in that as well, as far as the attachments go, because everybody always says I have an attachment whenever they do something bad. I had an attachment, that's why I was so evil. I'm like, no, maybe you were just a jerk and you need to take accountability. Maybe you can't keep blaming it on attachments, but there are people, if you are drinking a lot or something like that and you're going on investigations, and there is somebody who's still around here because they love the physical so much and they don't want to leave this life, because that happens. They just don't want to. They know they can, but they don't want to. They're going to try to step into your energy. It's almost like that's their water, but you can tell them to go away. They know who they can step into and who they can't. And you know who they can step into? Very stupid people. That's who they can step into. And I'm not saying stupid in a mean way. I'm like people who are just so ignorant to the world, or they're 5 drunk teenagers playing the Ouija board. I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, the Ouija board, the chances of you getting possessed by a Ouija board are, like, to me, 99.9% no, but you play drunk, you're going to get energies that are on you. That's going to be that's the experience you're literally calling forth. The world gives you whatever you ask for.
Okay.
I always tell people that. Yeah.
There it is. So I wanted to say this to you because you said that you really can't hate anybody.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So I
can't.
No. I have said that I think that human beings are incapable of unconditional love. Then you said that, and I go, maybe you are. Maybe you're the one that I've met that isn't.
Oh, you are. There's many people. I mean, just because, I have a sibling that is not a very good person, very nice person, and he's drunk and he hasn't worked for 20 years and he's just, piece of crap. And I used to hate him with all my heart, but now I look at him and I understand the journey. That's the whole thing. If you're a psychic, or who I am, a lot of psychics will tell you, I understand the journey. I get why they're being a jerk, and I get why they're a drunk, and I get why this is happening, because it's something they wanted to learn and come out of. So that's what I mean about there is unconditional love. We have unconditional love. You know who has unconditional love automatically is animals. Even if an animal bites you, it's still unconditional love, because it's not biting you because it hates you. It's biting you because you're interrupting its energy and it scared them in some place. That's why it bites you. A dog doesn't sit there and go, I'm going to kill that human being. It's not premeditated. It's just, I'm in that energy, or someone commanded me to do this thing. Otherwise, they love you.
Yeah. I always think, like, the universe has unconditional love. And whatever your belief is, and I think a belief is just a thought you think over and over. Whatever you believe, you're going to get. So if you believe you don't have enough money, the universe loves you, but you don't have enough money. So I think that a lot of times, one of the things that in the human experience, we don't like to not know or not have control. Yeah. So I think that people probably come to you for answers to things. And I think that it's very scary, because we don't really know what death is, despite the fact that you come back and tell us, but we still will doubt you. And I've got to think people have, the first time you told somebody you had a near-death experience, what was the reaction? And take it away from someone who may be a believer, but a close friend or a relative of somebody. What did they say?
The first person that I told something that had happened to was the nurse when I woke up, because I was supposed to be, there's a long story that goes to it. They called my parents, I was, after my surgery, when I came out, they induced a coma. And then they explained to me, it's hard to explain. I remember I stayed unconscious and then they got me awake, which I don't remember any of that, except I remember doing the clock test. That's all I remember. I was doing the clock test because they told my parents, we think the sepsis went to his brain and he has, it went to and he has dementia now. And they told my parents that. They literally went to Wisconsin, got all my paperwork, and they got the home ready that I was going to go to. And all I remember is hearing in my head, it sounded like people were ripping boards off, just like ripping down a wood building, just, back and forth and crunching and things. And I was sitting there, and this goes back to the story that happens there. And then it was like the voice of God, I guess, if you want to say that, just said, okay, you're going back now. Okay, you ready? You ready? That's all I kept thinking was, you're ready? You're ready? And then, boom, I opened my eyes. I didn't recognize where I was, but I just looked at the nurse and I said, wow, I wish my family was still alive. And she goes, what did you say? And I said, I wish my family was alive. And I had mentioned that my dog died and that my older brother died and that I wasn't sure where my parents were. They were gone. She's like, your parents have been here every day for the last 2 months, honey. And then I looked up and I said, and I started talking to them saying, are you the nurse? Where's that nurse that looks like this and so and that? And we had a conversation. She's like, no, honey, you didn't have a conversation. You were in ICU. You had tubes and everything in you. I said, yes, I did. There was a nurse there. We were talking. They found the nurse and she came in. I told her the conversation we were having and all that. Because I'm like, I was running around. I was doing stuff. I wasn't gone, But when I came back, it probably took a good year to remember who I was. Because I didn't remember fully, but as soon as I started saying that and my parents showed up and I started remembering things, I had to learn how to walk again because I had the muscle atrophy from being in bed for two. I had to learn how to walk again, learn how to shave again. I didn't recognize myself. My hair changed to another color. It was weird. There's trauma. Something as my hair started growing out, it was changing the color. And I was over 100 pounds in less than 2 months. So when I first saw myself, I didn't recognize me.
Yeah.
And that could have part of the NDE too, because I didn't recognize my face, even though I was skinny. I was like, where's all my body? Where did it go? Because, I was skinny now, and then I didn't know I was. But anyway, long story short, I can't remember where I even went off on this when I started talking about this.
Well,
but
let me ask you about then life, because I often say it has no meaning other than the meaning you give it.
That's it. That's just it.
Right.
People always go, what's the meaning of the life? Whatever you need to have it mean, that's what it is.
Okay. And then the idea that somebody did something to me or they're controlling me, or is there anything as assertion? Is that a real thing? Or is that sort of assertion meaning like, no one can kind of control you or tell you what, but we believe that. And when we believe it. So, you know how people will often say, and I knew
hypnosis.
That was, what's that?
Hypnosis is a wonderful proof. I love hypnosis. I think hypnosis is the most beautiful thing, and people should learn how to self-hypnotize themselves. All you're doing is just opening up a part of your brain that's so quiet all the time. And even in hypnosis, any hypnosis person will tell you, you're not going to do what you wouldn't do anyway. So if a hypnosis puts you on a hypnosis and told you to go jump off that building, unless you are literally ready to jump off that building, you're not going to do it.
Okay.
And you're not going to hurt anybody while you're doing it. Yeah, it is belief system. That kind of proves it's your belief system. If you believe that you're young all the time, and if you stay in the moment all the time, you're going to look young for most of your life. It's just going to happen because you believe it. Your body responds to your beliefs as well. That's how people heal each other. And that's how healers heal people sometimes. And not that the healer is doing the healing. The healer is just facilitating. It's kind of letting the soul know, hey, you can literally make yourself feel better.
So because again, we'll go back to like your abilities, and I really, I've loved talking to you. You just seem like such a cool, open person, and
No, thank you.
very, very, accepting. But I would, again, most people looking for answers. I really believe, and it's again an easier said than done type thing, that you can have or be or do anything you want in this life.
Sure.
But you can't. Contrast is there, and as you pointed out, even souls that may want to do what we consider evil or bad things, to give us the contrast, right? And contrast is important. You know what you don't want, you know what you do want. It gives you a point of reference. But sometimes we get so caught up in it that we put resistance, and so we start thinking about, I don't have enough, I'm not going to get enough, or things never work out for me, all this stuff. And that's more what we get back to your idea that it's really a mirror. It's a mirror. So
that's all it is.
So how do we, what do you take, what would you say to somebody who's looking to change that? Is there an easy way
To change it?
Yeah, to change your beliefs. Like I always think, I would say to my sons often, I have 3 sons of various ages, and I would always say to them, you got to go for the better feeling thought. The idea of you got to think positive, that sounds impossible. But you can go from anger to blame. It's a little bit better, right? It's not, and you can keep kind of going up the emotional scale, thus changing your vibration. Exactly. Is sort of my thing. And the idea of, the best, go for the best feeling, or I'm trying to think even where in the moment, go for whatever's the best feeling in the moment.
Yeah. My thing is this, to anybody who wants things to change for them. We spend a lot of time looking in the mirror, making sure we look a different way. We dress our bodies. We do all these things. We pay attention to how we speak to somebody. We go get school and all this stuff. But the one thing nobody does is monitor their own thoughts. Mm-hmm. Why is nobody paying attention to what's going around in their head? If they did, things would start changing, because then you can start turning off thoughts. Case in point, like how to look at things in a different way. This morning, I always grab my coffee. I feed my cats. I got 4 funky cats, and I drank my coffee. I put it next to me. I've got all like my counter, like a big, looks like a big chest that has all kinds of witchy looking fun stuff on it that I love. And I put my coffee down, and one of my cats jumped, knocked my coffee on it, went all over my iPad, and broke on the side of the counter. Most people would go, God damn, you freaking cat and all that. And I started laughing. Because you know what? That got me out of that whole experience. The cat looked so freaking funny jumping over me to do that, what he did. That's what I was laughing at. It's like, I didn't care about it. It's coffee on a floor. I can fix that. I can rebuy any of this stuff. It's not $1 billion, and my iPad's fine. It's just how you focus on it. We don't have to have the emotions that society tells you to have. Like some people, when they're scared, they laugh. Some people, when they're nervous, they'll giggle. Some people, a loved one will die, and one person will cry for the next 6 months, and one will go right back to work the next day, and it won't hit them for a long time. It's up to us to determine how we want to react to something. Once you pay attention to how you react to things, it starts to change. And like you said about raising your vibration, the more positive, and I'm not saying you have to say that every day is a good day and all that other stuff, because sometimes they're not. Right. But if you keep saying it, it's going to happen. You're most likely going to get there.
Okay, so let's go back to the story you just told about the cat and the thing, because I would be in a situation like that, and I have, my youngest son is 14, my oldest son is 24, so there's quite a range in there, and there's only 3 of them. There's another one in between. Yeah. And when the little one would do stuff much like this, knock something over, I would say, God damn it, Jameson. And Jameson, at 5, 6 years old, turned it into a song, and he started walking around going, God damn it, Jameson. And that made me laugh. And but when those things happen, sometimes that is the momentum that you don't want to get going. And that I sometimes will say, Thank you, Source.
Exactly.
For making me stop and go, right now it's just a spilled coffee and it's something else. Which leads me to this, and I don't know if you believe this or not, David, but everything that happens to you is your fault.
It was your choice, yeah.
So, and as ridiculous,
It doesn't have to. It doesn't necessarily have to be your fault, but you chose the actions for it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might do something to you, but how you got to look at it is they're not literally doing something to you. They're doing something for you. They're trying to show you something so you can get it. There's different ways to do it. I kind of think that, if your mom walked up, if you walked up to your kid the other day and just kind of just smacked him for the heck of it, and he looked at you, it's not him who told you to do it.
No,
it's you who
right.
did it.
Yes.
But his reaction is what he's going to learn from.
Yes.
So he might have, and if he knew that you are somebody who did that all the time and he decided to go in that way, then yeah, it is your choice. That's something we do here. We might be told, hey, when you're in your 20s, you're going to get really addicted to this certain kind of drug and it's going to be tough for you. You may or may not try to do something bad to yourself and end up back here. So we're just giving you the heads up that that's what you're trying to get through. Okay. So your soul might recognize that. Like if you get into a part where you got really addicted to drugs for like 5 years, 10 years, and you lived through it, I can tell you chose that.
Okay.
Nobody put drugs in you. You did it.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to prove something to yourself is why. If you didn't do it, then you go back and you're like, whoops. Let's try this again.
Do we make things harder than they need to be? Overthinking over that. So, like going back to, again, I'm sorry, the cat and the coffee on the iPad. That to me could go one of two ways: the way you went, or the God damn it, and then and it seems like after that you get a series of that stuff. Sometimes to the point where you end up in a car accident.
No, that's very true. I mean, the momentum from your thoughts.
Yes.
Some of that, what people don't like when people talk about like the law of attraction and everything, just so they know, and some people know this, you're not literally attracting something towards you. Everything that you've ever wanted that you can think of in your head is already there. It's already been constructed. It's already there. You just got to match up with a vibration to get there. And like you said, it goes by the way of, if there's a car accident in the distance, and in that morning that coffee got dropped off all over, and you are all over the place getting mad, you're probably most likely going to end up in that car accident, which is going to lead me to how psychics work. So you're going to into that car accident. Now, if there's a car accident in there and that person did what I did and and I just had a good day anyway, I'm most likely going to notice that car accident and avoid it and not be in it. It'll probably be there and I'll see it, but I don't have to be involved in it because of the choices that I made and how I was, unless possibly that car accident was there to teach you something. But that's psychics. That's how real psychics, I think, we work like that. When somebody asks me a question, predictions are weird. Not every prediction comes true.
Right.
Okay. You got to believe in the prediction. That's one. You got to really believe in it. Two, I read from the energy where they are now. So when somebody asks me that question right when I'm sitting here, I can feel that energy where they are now. And from the question, I'll just start traveling down that energy. I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, it's totally, if you stay in this mindset, you are totally going to get that. That's just going to happen for you. But I have people, ask me, I don't know if I should be with Bobby or not because Bobby hasn't called me in 2 days. Do you think we're going to be together? I can look at them right there and there and go, no, you're not. And the reason you're not is because you already know. Yeah. You already know, or you would not have asked the question. Right. Since you know that energy's out there. So you might as well just cut the cord now and go get yourself somebody that's cool because you're with an idiot. That's how it is. Although there are times where my guides have jumped in and said, listen, the way she's going right now, the dude's going to dump her because she's really being hard for him to handle. Let her know that all she has to do is just enjoy the relationship, just be in that relationship. Don't worry about what he's doing. He's most likely not cheating. You're all good. If you do that, that relationship goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that would be sort of what I'm talking about, where you change your vibration and that you're like a teacher in a way.
Yeah.
Teaching people how to live.
everybody's
No,
everybody's each other's teacher.
Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of giving us guidance on how to live. People can go to whispertome.com, correct?
It's they whisper to me.
Oh, they whisper to me. I'm sorry, I have glasses for distance, and I don't have.
That's okay. Also, if anybody wants to, I'm on TikTok, and I think they have like 96 point something thousand followers now. But I make videos on people's questions. So if they ask a question about the afterlife or ask this and that, I make a video about it. That's what my whole platform has been. So, and that's Medium David Hanzel.
Medium David Hanzel. Hanzel.
Yeah, I have a lot of imposters, so make sure that there's at least 96 because social media is not watching our imposters. I have so many people saying, "Oh, did you come into my DMs and ask me for my astrology and say I had a curse or something?" I'm like, "No, you know better than that. I don't work with that crap." It's like, that's not me. That's a fake. They do it all the time.
Can you read energy through almost what we're using now as technology?
Anyone can.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, because we're energy. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, people are probably going to go, "Oh no, he's going to talk all spiritual." But no, this is the absolute freaking effing fact. You are energy. Everything is energy. This pencil is energy. We should be able to go through this. So if we were in 5D, my finger would go through this because the molecules would split and it would go through. But my brain cannot handle the fact that I can do that. That's why I can't. So that's why that happens. As far as readings or anything, your energy and my energy, when I start reading something, it's right there. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's either on the phone or either on, the Zoom or on, whatever. People can ask me a question. I do angel readings, which is really fun. I talk to angels all the time. I've loved them since I was a kid. And I had an angel ask me one time, he's like, "Do these kind of readings." It's weird how it went. But anyway, I do these one question angel readings. They're $11.11. I know, funny number, right?
It was a great number.
Yeah, it came across because I needed some extra cash one day, and they said, "Do this." And I'm like, "I don't know how to channel you." They're like, "Yeah, you do. You do it every day. Just do it." I put the ad out there, and people would ask a question, and I would look at the question, and I go to my meditative state, and then I can hear them. So, like angels, they replace my thoughts. That's what it feels like. They replace my thoughts. It's theirs. So that's what I'm speaking from. I just start typing, and I noticed I'm really poetic. And then it's like, no, I'm not. That's them.
Yeah.
I'm just writing their words. People would come back going, "How did you know? How'd you know?" And then I started saying, "Do they need to ask a question?" They said, "No, that we know what they need." So people would just say whatever I need to hear. And then they would go off and tell them to them. People, all these years, I've left it up there and I've left it at the same price because the time that I needed it, I think within like a day or two, I had made like $300 something for this little trip I was going to do. And that's all I wanted. I wanted something. I said, "Hey, I'm going on this trip. I could use a little extra cash and I know you can give it to me." And then that's how it started coming in. They're like, "Well, do this, do this, do that, do this." Okay, so you do. You got people have to follow their own intuition. Half the time there is a being, you, a guide, your higher self, God, and there's somebody directing you in a positive way. And if you listen to it and follow that, like you were saying earlier, that one positive little thing, even if it's only this much more positive than something else, follow it.
Yes.
Follow it.
Yes. So how do we hear? I meditate. Sometimes I've started asking a question, "What do I need to know today?"
Mm-hmm.
And I really listen, and it's calming, but I don't know that I ever get an answer, but I don't have bad days. I could say that.
Well, you know what? Answers, a lot of people see, like for me, I don't have, if I ask that question about myself, what do I need to know today?
Yeah.
It doesn't always come in language because a lot of people think if you ever hear of a psychic or a medium saying they're clairaudient, which means clear hearing, which means you can hear the voice, but it doesn't always mean voice. Because I have many spirits that I talk to, I can kind of hear the words here and there. It's kind of like they're in the distance, or they'll come in like a extremely loud thought. You're like, "That's not me." That's them. It comes in like that. Or I'll hear water, or I'll hear places. I remember one time I was on my way I do TikTok lives all the time. And I just do free readings for TikTok lives, for like half hour or so, just psychic readings real quick. Because I love doing it, and it's exercising the muscle always. And on the way there, I was just driving, and it's through the mountains over here. So it's like this mountain road, nice and quiet. I drove by this one spot and I heard a motorcycle like outside my ear, like it was in my car. I heard this motorcycle. I'm like, what was that? And I just went and did my readings. The next day I came by, heard that motorcycle again, and I pulled over the car. I'm like, is there like a track around here? But I'm in the mountains. I'm in the forest. So third day I went back. I got on TikTok Live, and I never do this. I said, you guys, I don't ever just put out information. I don't want anyone to make it fit. I said, there's a dude that loved motorcycles who died not long ago. He's like in his 25 or 30 years old. Does anybody know who that is? And yes, his sister was on that day. Wow. So that's who it was. So yeah, so that's weird. And it doesn't, I think the most fun is when you're not asking for it. I mean, when it just happens, it's so beautiful. And and I'm not the only one. I tell people, listen, you can do this too. If you have loved ones who left, I'm happy when you contact me, and I'll be more than happy to help you all I can. But in the meantime, sit with a picture in a chair and look at them and get rid of all those crappy, sad feelings. Oh, she had cancer. She suffered so much. Trust me, she ain't suffering now. She's good. Mm-hmm. She was happy. She doesn't even remember that. It's like, no, I know what I went through. I don't remember it. Just look at them and start smiling and just talk. Just have a conversation and then put that picture down and go about your day. You will find that you're going to probably feel that tingle all day long, and you're going to have more stuff come in for you. You'll get signs that day probably, you'll get all kinds of things because they have to lower their vibration to get here. We got to raise ours, and we meet in the middle. That's just what a medium does. Okay. I used to tell, that's why I'm so naughty when I do readings. I mean, if I have guys on the other side, I always tell people, I don't filter what they say if that's cool. Because if they swear, I'm swearing. Yeah. That's just how I'm going to go. Yeah. And people can do it. You can sit there. You can have that. My dog and my brother, if I went back to that in my near-death experience, two things that I saw was my dog getting killed. My little dog named Toto got killed by the other two big dogs. And that my brother, he was going to die, and he's coming here, but they needed me to go back. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Well, I woke up remembering that, and a couple months went by and I remembered that, but I was slushing it all off too. The first couple months, I was like, I know I was someplace else. No one's going to listen to me. No one's believing me. So I'm just going to keep it to myself. And then it was like 6 months later, our little dog Toto ran outside when the big dogs were out there, and they tore her apart. And in front of me, we tried to save her, and she got killed. And I was very sad, but she gave me a wonderful gift. She came back and showed me herself the next day. And that dog, literally, this is just you guys who have pets, I would not have believed it, but I was so sad. But in the morning, I felt okay because I had a dream about her. And the dream was I was in her place running around my parents' backyard, and she took me to 3 spaces. One was the barn, and there was a ball back in the barn, this old barn. There was another like stick behind a tree, and there was this little piece of rope buried. It was under this rubbish. And I went outside in the morning, and I thought, oh, what the hell? Let's check. I walked into the barn. There was the ball. And then I walked behind that bush. There's a stick. I dug up that little thing. I'm like, holy cow, that was her. She gave me the gift of putting me in her space to let me know this is how she felt running through that backyard. And then I was still sad that I knew that. And then it hit me. I hope this is just a coincidence. But on Thanksgiving, my brother got sick, and then he was diagnosed with a brain tumor and stage 4 lung cancer. And they gave him 6 months, and he died 4 months later. So I was very upset. This is like one of when people call it the dark night of the soul. I was so upset. And even at his funeral, I was screaming at God. I was already there. You should have just let me stay so he could stay here. I was okay. My life sucked anyway. I wanted to go. I was done. And that's not how it was. And I was mad. And I told them, we're not supposed to know when people die, because we don't. We're not supposed to know when people die and all these other things. Why did you do that? And it came back. They said, because you wouldn't have believed where you were. So that's why the information was given to me. It was going to happen anyway.
Yeah. Do you think that we have a predetermined exit date?
That's a tough one. A lot of people say it. I have asked my guys.
I asked.
Yeah. My guides are weird about it, but they said, yeah, you do have a predestined. You have a predestined, but there is your soul knows, and it can change too. Some people plan on dying a certain way, under like your contract to be, hey, I'm gonna pass away in this plane crash with 290 other people. You know, that's when I'm gonna go to. I'll be done. Because you got to think when you're on the other side, when you're making this plan, you know you're coming back there. It's a fact. You're nothing's happening to you. So you go through it. But a lot of people, you can, while you're here, I guess you can change it yourself. You can just say, well, I don't want to die in that. I want to die peacefully in my sleep. And then maybe you will. You most likely.
Yeah.
We do choose pretty much the way we do go. That goes from accidents, horrific accidents, all kinds of weird stuff. There's also, I think, times when it can happen. And that's what I think when we're talking about exit points. You do have that one, no matter what, this is the last one. This is where you're coming back because you said you only wanted to be here that long and that's it. But there are times in between where something could happen.
Okay.
And I think that's where you get when people talk about, and that's what my guides are explaining, like when angels save people here, or you'll get these phenomenal things like, where did that person go? Or somebody lifted up that car off that kid's leg.
Right.
We didn't know where they went. They are pretty much the only ones who can change your destiny. And they're not changing your destiny. What they're saying is, he'd be better off. This is going to be better off if this person does not die now, because their exit point's like 30 years from now and they still got to have this kid and all this stuff. So they most likely will talk to your soul. Your soul goes, yeah, it's all cool. I'll stay. And then things will happen to make it better, you know. But
so bizarre.
Is.
At the risk of,
it is bizarre.
it is bizarre because, you know, like you said, with the, you could really go through this if we were fifth dimension, but we're more 3-dimension, and so
we're going into fifth dimension consciousness. I mean, the whole UFO thing, and if people want to know about that, and this is probably another show, when I was 6 years old in North Carolina, where I am now, we used to drive up here. I had my encounter with an alien, actual in front of me. There you are. I didn't go up to a ship. There they were. They said hello. And they came back in dreams. That same one came back as dreams after my NDE. And so they've been around. I was known from a child. I always knew they were here. So that's not news. It's not news for me. It's like, yeah, they're here. Of course, they're in the ocean. Well, yeah, duh. Where did you think they were?
Well,
they're in the sky, ocean, everywhere.
All right. So let me ask this, and I would like to have you back to explore this more. But there are those that say we're of the stars.
You are.
That aliens came here and that there's alien DNA or dormant DNA in us, and that's what we call the divine intervention, right? Because I think, depending on who you read or who you believe, scientists will say our closest DNA match, some say 98%, some say that's way too high, is to a chimpanzee.
Yeah. Well, here, look at this. Here's a visual. So here's the little bag I have, okay? This little bag represents a human being or something like that. Now, it just looks like this. And how it got that way is somebody sewed something together or put something together. That's where you're talking about the alien DNA. So alien DNAs maybe got together, did something with a hominid here or something, and they made this brand new looking species like that. Well, you're a soul. So if you decide you're going to come to Earth and live as a human being, you're going to use that bag.
Yeah.
That's where all that DNA came from. Once you leave here, you're you again. You're over here again. You can be in anything. You can go to another planet. You can be an alien in that planet. You can, maybe there's a planet that you are maybe on all the time, and you just took a break to come here on Earth. Who knows? But yeah, I'm a strong believer in that as well. I'm sorry, people, the Adam and Eve thing, as you interpret it in that book, is not true. But I believe in the seeded theory, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. That makes sense. May I be selfish and just ask, angel-wise, can you kind of, for me, tap in, or?
What do you need? You got to ask the question, and then, well, I have angels, guides, anything. But if you're just wanting to ask a question, I can see what answer I can get.
Yeah, I don't even know what question I'd ask.
If you just want to know.
Go ahead.
If you just want to know what's going on.
Yeah, am I on the right path?
You're so funny that you just asked that. They just threw that out at me. Choosing the path. Yeah.
Yeah. all is
That
possible.
literally fell out. I just grabbed this card for a minute to see if it says choosing your path. Let me see. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay.
I'm not going to use cards because it's easier to go direct. I talk out loud too. If you hear me say yes or whatever to them, and just acknowledge them. Thank you. Yeah, you are. You're obviously exactly where you're supposed to be. The advice that's coming through, the advice that more or less coming through is that you kind of stand this stick to home right now, and they kind of want to move you out of there. So I want to put you someplace. I don't know. It's so silly to say it like a vacation, but I really need you to go someplace else just for a little bit. It's going to give you a new perspective on the things that you're thinking about doing next. So the things that you're thinking about doing next are actually going to come a little differently than what you're thinking, but in a better way. Better. What is he buying? What are you buying?
I don't know. I'd like to buy.
That gives,
I'd love to buy a house or something, but that's
just what's going in your head? Okay,
Yeah,
hold on a minute. That's just the opinion. It's in your energy. So it's like, I need something, I want something, and it translates to me as buying something.
Yeah.
So it's the house that you want?
Well, it's something because I have my 14-year-old son living with me now. He hadn't been for 4 years. And just some things getting out of a lease was too complicated. So we're in a smaller space than I want to be. So
No, it's not too complicated. So stop. I'm not reprimanding you, but I'm going to reprimand you. No,
Okay.
you're not. You want it. All you got to do is take the action towards it. So all you got to do is think about it. You already have to just say, oh yeah, I can't wait to get my new house. My new house is so cool. And then you just need to just start looking up stuff. You'll be surprised on how things will fall in place to change everything so you can leave that place. It'll just automatically work out. You don't have to. People always take something in the physical and say, this is in my way.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's not in your way because you're not physical. You can go right over it. And they're telling me, but they keep telling me, they do tell me that maybe you and your son, somebody, you need to go someplace just for a little bit. You need to expand that because I feel like there's something you're missing that you didn't do. That's the thing I'm missing. It would be good for you to get like a different focus on something. So, like go someplace you would never go before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just do that.
Yeah.
And that's it's just for a new perspective is all, because you keep focusing on the same stuff here. And that's probably why you're focusing on, I can't get that because of this. No, that's not true. And you'll know that once you jump out of this, it's just this little box you're in. You're doing really, really well, but you still got that little box up you still don't trust some of the decisions. You still keep going, oh, no, I can't have that.
Yes.
And they're like, yes, you can. Why are you saying that? Yeah, that's what they're going over in your head. So they're just giving you, it's pretty much a pep talk, but they're telling you, you want these things? Fine. You just have to say, yeah, they're already here. We told you earlier through David that they were already here. You don't have to attract them. They're here. You just have to line up with the frequency. You do that. Your frequency is your feeling. Your feelings are your frequency. So ask yourself, how would you feel in that brand new house?
Oh, amazing.
Okay. Then you got to feel
like almost free.
Right.
Free.
Yeah. And then here's a better way. You want to up that even more. The universe loves gratitude. That's just how I put it. So when you go home tonight from now on, walk in that house and go, I can't wait for my big house. It is so cool. And this is what it looks like. And as you walk into your house, go, I am so thankful though for what I have. I am thankful for this window overlooking, because my new house overlooks something even bigger than this. And you just want to be grateful for that house you're in. Once you make peace with the house, I have to say, because the house has energy too. Yeah. You make peace with the house, things will start just going for you and you'll get them. You can get there a lot faster. I have a house and I have no money. I don't know how that happened. I have money, but literally I live in a house. Yes. I was just saying last year, I will never, ever, ever own a house. I don't have the money. I don't make enough money. And I worked at a regular job during the day and I did readings at night and I saved up this money. I got hurt at work. I asked for it. That's another thing that was manifested. I manifested surgery on accident, but I slipped and fell for a place I worked for. And I worked in a deli. I'm a vegetarian, but I did it for like 7 years. And I just said it was on a Tuesday night. It was Monday night. It was Monday night. And I said, okay, you guys, I need out of this place. It's killing me now. I can't do this. What are you guys doing? I'm like, I told you, I want out. I'm out of this place. I'm out of this place. And I said to my angels, I'm giving you permission to go ahead and get me out of this. Take full control. I'm good. You can get permission like that. Tuesday night after close, the kids put down this wet stuff all over the floor. No signs up. I came out of the bathroom. Foots went out from under me. I slammed right under the camera. I flew up in the air, went down and smashed my elbow, which had these fingers were stuck like this for 2 years. And I had to have surgery, cubital carpal, whatever surgery to get it. So I had to settle with them. I hated that job. I hated the place I worked for. I can't say who they are. Well, actually I can now, but the big grocery store in Florida, the only grocery store in Florida. But they were terrible. They were awful to me. The manager got fired afterwards, but I ended up getting some money out of that. I also had stocks I didn't even know about. I stayed home. I couldn't find another job. I didn't know what was going on. And then I couldn't stay in my apartment. It had leaks in it. I rented a house. The ceiling was leaking. It was gross. I hated it. I was paying too much money for it. And I'm like, I just want a house. I'll never have a house. But then one day I said, you know what? Maybe I can have a house. Let me start looking at them. And as I looked at them, I started to get more confident. I'm like, maybe I can swing this, even though, because I make enough money just doing readings. Next thing I know, everything worked out. And I actually, not only did I get the house, I had it in the exact area that I wanted it to. Wow. And I've got the exact view. My trees got blown down from the storm, but I'm surrounded by woods. It's real pretty. And now I own this thing. You know?
Yeah.
And everything, if you look at this, everything that you've ever thought about as a child has pretty much happened. Yes. I dreamed about being a rock star when I was a little kid. I became a musician. I traveled all over. And then I got it in my head that I wanted to be a writer and a comedian. And then I started doing theater. Next thing I know it, I'm off to Second City at school and I'm traveling around North Carolina now. You know, I was here as a comedian. And so everything you think about, and when you put it out there, let the universe bring it to you. You don't even have to figure out how you're going to do it.
It's right. The how, I feel like the how is none of your business.
It really is none of your business. It'll tell you what to do. Yeah. You just got to do it.
Well, and not to keep you too long, you're speaking stuff, but I was on the radio for 30 years. I wanted to be on the radio since I was a kid. I was on the radio while in college. I finished up. I loved it. And then I wanted to do talk, and I did talk, and I wanted to do a big morning show, and I did that. And I wanted to, do all these things. And I wanted to own. I wanted to own my own thing. And something didn't work out in radio, and I left one company and went to another. And, everywhere I went, everything was good. And then something happened, and it all kind of came to a screeching halt. And
did you want to own another? There's another job, another thing that you want to do. You still want to do that, right?
Yeah.
That has to do with everything with you getting out of that house and exploring those places, because that's going to bring you to it.
Okay.
Is it in this state? Is it in the state you're in now?
It would take me, I would have to travel to do what I want to do.
There you go. See, yeah. Okay. I'm just telling you, on your timeline, if you revisit that, you're good. That's what I'm telling you. They want you to get out, travel. They want you to get out. I think you got to know that you're not stuck where you are, because it does feel like you're going to move out of state at some point pretty soon, but not really soon, but it does feel like you are.
So yeah, what I always wanted to own, like, again, the radio shows thing. So then I started the podcast, and then I've started this offshoot, Billightenment, talking to people like yourself, who I feel like have a message that people need to hear. And then I have another project that I want to do, but it would require me to reach out to people and maybe go to where they are to do it, and that's the thing that I want to do. But in between there, I've been doing other things, and like now my 14-year-old son's living with me. Money becomes a concern, so I didn't know what to do, and some things kind of dry up, and you get a little wobbly. And I substitute teaching during the day.
That's just what happens.
And I've absolutely loved it, man. I have loved it.
Yeah, you never know what life's going to give you from the circumstances. But like I said, if you still want to go do these things you wanted to do before, the dream is still there. That's what they were saying. You just got to travel outside of where you're going. You got to. Yeah. And then you'll get it. You don't have to stay. It doesn't mean you sell everything and go travel, give up. but you want to visit or see these places where you think you might end up being. And it's called the law of action. Once you take a dream or a thought and you just take one foot, put it towards there, the universe will move the other foot for you.
Yeah.
But you got to put that one foot there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very interesting. I feel like you've given some real tangible steps that people can use to live better.
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. And not that everything's going to work for everybody, but this is the stuff. I don't tell you anything that they haven't showed me and I've used myself.
Okay.
And
yeah.
So I'm always doing stuff. I'm really into hermetics nowadays.
What are hermetics that I don't?
The book for the 3 initiatives.
Okay.
The philosophy. Yeah, the philosophy. And I follow those. I work with the law of assumption, and I love the law of assumption. I think the law of assumption is like the law of attraction on steroids.
What is the law of assumption then? Meaning that if I assume it, it shall be?
Well, yeah, there's more to it. One, in law of assumption, you really got to go through your belief system that's still with you, because we probably all have belief systems that are still bad. Like I used to have the belief system about money. I used to always, when I was growing up and doing all the stuff I was doing, I was like, only evil people have money, bad people have money. And I would say, I don't care. I don't have enough money, but guess what? I'm still a good person. That's why I'm not going to let it change me. Until my guide said to me one day, David, you know what? You're not getting any more money because you keep believing that money's bad. And I said, well, yeah, evil people have, are bad when they get money. He said, no, just sometimes evil people have money. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I said, really? He said, yeah, there's very good people. You just don't hear about them. I changed that. And when I changed my thinking of, oh, okay, I'm not going to assume that money is bad anymore. I now assume that money is really good. And I now assume that I can do all kinds of cool stuff with money when I have it. I know how to distribute it. And then all of a sudden, money.
Yeah.
It's just happening. Yeah, you just want to assume that character in the future. At least, the whole, like Abraham even talks about 17 seconds. It's true. Just kind of hold that thought. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. Just hold the dream and the thought. Feel like you do now. What does a rich person feels like? What does a person who owns a radio station feel like?
Yeah.
How does that feel? And my last advice on that one was, I do this a lot and it's fun. Like if there's a certain thing you want, like say you want $5 million. Okay. You got to ask yourself, how would I feel with $5 million? You're like, I don't know because I don't have it right now. So one thing you can do is think about that feeling. And as you go through your day, think about what during this day can give me that feeling that's right here now. What can give me that feeling, and search for it. And you'll start finding out, oh, the woods make me feel elated, or driving my car fast makes me feel this, this,
Yeah.
That's the replacement. Once you feel that, then you go, oh yeah, this is what the 5 billion would feel like, I bet. And this is how it's going to go, and keep that feeling. And eventually you'll probably get it.
Where did you learn all this?
Some of it just came back with me.
Some of it came back with you. It's interesting because you talked about being a young guy and knowing that there was no hell. And I do think we come in, and probably the creatures that are closest to where you came from are the young ones. And then we muck it all up.
It's okay. I understand what you mean. Yeah, our parents really screw everything up, no matter how beautiful and wonderful they were.
They're trying. I just think that
they
there's
still a belief in us.
Yes, the programming. And it's almost
like the law of assumption too. The first thing, if you want to use the law of assumption, is you got to take that old adage: when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. No, that's not true. Assumption is not a bad thing. Assuming is not a bad thing. In fact, if you were to wake up in the morning and you say, I assume people are going to smile at me all day long. I just know it. I just assume it. That's just it. It's my thing. I do that now, and I have people smile at me all the time just because I assume that there's more good people in the world than bad people. I just do.
Well,
I know there's some crappy people out there, but I assume that all the nice ones are going to say hi to me.
Yeah, I've always thought that. I've always thought that if I drop the wallet 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get everything back with the contents in it, right?
Probably, yeah.
I always think that. David, this has been a real pleasure for me, and I would love to have you back again. I find you extremely interesting, and I'd love to hear more about the alien experience that you had and all this stuff. Theywhispertome.com. Do you have a book as well? Why do I
I
feel
am
like
writing
there's
a book, and you know
Oh,
what? Here's the
I didn't
deal
know
about.
that.
I'm going to write. I've got a couple I started. I was writing one about my near-death experience, and when I started, I realized they need a point of context to see how, because the book is going to be for not only what I see after death, but to know that no matter how crappy your life is, because mine was terrible compared, and but I mean, I don't look at it that way, but it wasn't very good for a kid, but it's okay. It worked out.
Yeah.
It all happened for a reason, and that's what I wanted to express in the book. So I keep going back and forth, and then I went through about a year where I was talking to my guides, and I'm like, I need to know if this was dreamed or if this was real,
Right.
because there's some stuff that happened to me while I was unconscious that I know inherently. I'm like, that was drug related. That was drug related from the drugs they gave me.
Okay.
Because I remember one thing, it was really cool that happened. And I kept getting this little thing in my ear that was like, that wasn't us. That wasn't us. That wasn't us. I was like, are you telling me that was drugs? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
I'm like, because that was cool, but the stuff that they was just as cool and way cooler. Yeah, it's I forget. I get so excited when I talk about that. It's such a cool thing.
It is, and I can see it, and it's palpable, your energy and everything. Go to thewhispertome.com. Talk to David. Follow him on TikTok, because you do the readings there, you said, right?
I do probably like 3 or 4 times a week at some point. I do free readings there, and you can ask whatever you want. And if I always tell people, if my guides are with me for that, because I do it clairaudiently. So it's like, if they go this one, I just pin it up there. I just do it, and then they answer.
And what are you on TikTok for people to find you?
Medium David Hanzel. It's make sure that there's like over 96,000 followers. If it's under that, it's not me.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and gratitude is what you're saying is sort of the key to get what you want. Attitude
and gratitude. Enjoy everything and just have a good life.
Yeah. Thank you very much, David. I hope to talk to you again soon.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. There he goes. David Hanzel. You got to, I find this stuff just fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And I think that we get it wrong, and everything we need is here, and we just need to go forward and do whatever we want with good intentions and keep those good thoughts. And I like what David said. Hold on to the feeling of, say it's money or whatever. How's that going to make me feel? Really good stuff. Again, thewhispertome.com. For David Hanzel, I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you next week.
Breaking chains that hold us tight, moving towards the endless light. Billightenment is the way to live better.
I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. I know I'm always like so shy.